Star Wars Rebels Season 2, Episode 17, Shroud of Darkness. As you guys can see, I'm wearing my actual Star Wars hat. I left my other one in the car, and I was like, you know what? I have this hat. This is the first time I've ever actually worn it outside of just testing it, just to make sure it fits. I got it as a Christmas gift. But perfect video. Definitely, probably the perfect episode as well to wear this for the first time, because this was a really fun episode, and I knew it would be fun because, of course, we actually got to see that this episode was coming up. Unfortunately, I'm worried it's going to go back to normal because, once again, it just did a typical different series promo at the end, and I was a little bummed out by that because I was like, they showed us this because it's like, hey, everyone check this out when it's on so we can get some, high ratings or whatever. And then they kind of went back to normal, so it's a little unfortunate. I thought it might actually end up being a two-part thing at first because of just how crazy things were getting. I thought they really were going to end up fighting against the Inquisitors in this episode, but the resolution was a million times cooler than that, and I never would have expected it, and it was really amazing. And I loved everything that happened in this episode. It starts off, this is probably the greatest start they've had for an episode. I'm pretty sure there were some other ones where it started off in the action, but this one went right from the beginning. Kannan and Ezra fighting the two Inquisitors, which was amazing. They used force powers on each other to, I think Kanan called it like a cross or whatever, so he used his powers to grab Ezra and throw him at the brother. I can't remember their exact names. I believe he's fifth brother and she's seventh sister, if I remember right. But he used the force to throw him, and then Ezra used the force to throw Kanan, and it was just really fun. And they're fighting, and they're getting, put back into a corner and stuff, and it was just a really great opening shot. And then we go through, they meet Ahsoka, and we actually get to see Anakin Skywalker in this episode, which I thought was cool. I didn't really expect that to happen because, basically in the episode, I believe it was like the second episode Vader was in, Ahsoka knew that it was Anakin, and she had that connection with him, and then it knocked her out, and this was the first episode where they really brought it back. And I was so surprised to see that when Ezra opened the door and we get to hear, the old voice. So the voice actor came back. We got to see Clone Wars Anakin in the Rebels animation style, which is pretty interesting. It's always weird seeing that because it's all the same universe. So it's so weird when they bring them in and it's like, God, they look so different than they used to, especially with Anakin because that was meant to be him during the Clone Wars time. And with Ahsoka, it's not as noticeable because she grew up, so the animation style doesn't really affect how she looks because she's so much older anyway. So I just thought that was very cool. It was just really fun to see Anakin in this one. We got to see Yoda physically show up in this one as well, which was very nice. And everyone went on their own little journey. I would definitely have to save Kanan's for last because that was amazing what they did with that, and it blew my mind, honestly. But Ezra had his second connection with Master Yoda, and you actually got to see him, which I thought was very cool. And we got to see a new layer of this temple, which I thought was actually really cool as well. And it continues to rise compared to what it was before. And we see what I'm assuming is the full version of the temple, unless they do end up going back at some point. But that I really enjoyed in itself. Ezra getting to meet Master Yoda and figure out what he should do next, what was wrong with the Jedi fighting, and learning that Master Yoda at one point was afraid. And I thought that was really good for him to learn that it's kind of a typical thing where you have like heroes and you put them on a pedestal, and it's like, you're human, or well, obviously not in Yoda's case, but you can have these fears and stuff like I did, and it was kind of cool to see that moment where he's like, I'm Yoda, but there was a time, like, yeah, it wasn't perfect, for me. I wasn't just like, I knew what was to come. So I really loved that. He gets info on where he should go. I totally forgot the name, even though I know it, because I knew it as soon as they said it. I was like, oh, I know that place. And I was like, I just can't remember the name whatsoever all of a sudden. But we're going to get to see them go to this new planet. I can't remember if I'm pretty sure it's the name of the planet and not like the name of a place on a certain planet, but I could be wrong. It could be a specific place on another planet, but looking forward to that, which I'm hoping does carry out in the next episode, and we do get to see, our trio of Jedi continue on. Ahsoka really had a great moment as well where she was kind of hit with her having left the Jedi Order, which I thought it was great that they brought that up. I thought that was very cool because we knew it, but they hadn't really mentioned it on the show, and I didn't think they'd really have a reason to. But when they go to the temple, and she's like, "It's probably best if you two do it because I'm not a Jedi anymore. I technically, I'm not because I left the Order by choice." I thought that was a cool reason for her to kind of fight the idea of using the Force to kind of open up the temple. And then she's kind of hit, and they do some amazing animation when they did it, like where you could see like the water kind of building up on her eye. I was like, that is insane detail, because there's any other time we see their faces, we will not see that little thin line and stuff of, like, you know, anything, any sort of detail. So certainly love that, and her seeing that, or her getting these visions, which I thought were very interesting, because for everyone else, for Kanan it was forceful as well, but it ended up being helpful for him. And I think for her, maybe she kind of gave up too fast. Maybe that's what it was, because she, of course, once Anakin transitioned into Vader, she fought the idea and she kind of swung around with her lightsaber. So I don't know if the temple was trying to get her to go through more than what she went through, but for her it was ultimately a negative experience, and for everyone else it ended up in something at least somewhat positive. Like, they at least got answers in Ezra's case. And then for Kanan, he got the Force answer. It was like, I still don't really know what to do with this answer, but I passed the test, and it was amazing. It was like, all right, so we see him go through, you know, kind of this pillar of light. He vanishes, which I thought was pretty cool when they kind of explained, like, oh, to them he just flat out disappeared. So I thought that was cool. It's just like a Force thing, and he vanishes, and they kind of technically get teleported because they were all in that room, but he walked through this kind of beam of light, and to them he just totally vanished. And when Ezra was connected to Yoda, he vanished as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because at the end they all run from three different sort of pathways. So I thought that was kind of cool. But with Kanan's, that was amazing to me. It was, for one, it had great action to it, because he's fighting I wanted a Jedi Guard, which is really cool. So we got to see like the golden lightsabers and the really nice costumes and everything, and it's like a dojo but for Jedi, which is really sweet. Great combination as far as I'm concerned. So that was really awesome. And then we got to see, not only a really cool fight between Kanan and this guard who's using a double-sided lightsaber, but not a spinning lightsaber. But that was really cool. The setup for the lightsaber was sweet as well. And what I initially thought was that, because there was a Jedi who's actually turning to the dark side in the Clone Wars, and he had 4 arms, and his lightsabers were similar to the guards in this episode, or to the Inquisitors. And it was really interesting when I saw that. I was like, that's going to flip into a double-sided lightsaber. But for the character I'm thinking of, his were kind of on strings that would kind of instantly attach, but they were folded just like that. It wasn't like a contraption that was like, you know, screwed together, I guess. They were kind of like nunchucks, and he would spin them, and then they would kind of stick together. So it reminded me of that. Then we got to see Kanan actually dual wield, which was very symbolic, because he has his lightsaber and then he picks up another one, which I thought he was going for the double-sided, and I was like, this is going to be really cool, because we've never seen him use a double-sided lightsaber, so he's going to be dual wielding with basically 3 sabers. And I was like, I'm very excited to see that, because I've seen it happen before, and I believe it was in this. It may have been in something else for sure, but I always like that, because it's very unique to see someone have a single hand lightsaber, and then one that you're kind of supposed to use 2 hands for when it's a double sided. And then he's moving, and then it's like, oh, and he picked up a single. I was like, oh, that made me a little sad, to be honest. But it ends up being a red lightsaber, because the whole thing is that Ezra being a part of the Force is dangerous, and even Yoda says that to him in the very beginning. And it's because he chooses to fight rather than to, you know, think or find another option to survive as a Jedi or help the rebels, you know, win. So I don't know if we should expect anything bad. It would be crazy if they end up doing it that way, where Ezra ends up becoming like one of the Sith or something. That would really suck too, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And ultimately, Kanan realizes, like, I can't make him a good Jedi. All I can do is what I've done, and I can basically hope that he chooses the light side rather than the dark side. And lately, I feel like he has been. We haven't really seen anything where he's gone very dark. All of his interactions with creatures have been very good. and they haven't been. I don't think we've seen one that's been evil like season one, where when they fought against the Inquisitor. I think it was like the first big battle, and he kind of lost it when he thought Kanan was about to get killed, and he was in like just a crazy state of rage, and he brought that giant creature up. It hasn't been like that since that moment, so I'm not too worried. But based on what they're saying, where these Force users are seeing this evil kind of within him as a serious danger, I think we're gonna get a lot of temptation for his character pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to that because that should be fairly exciting. So that was really fun, and then he gets knighted as a Jedi Knight, which is very cool. I love that. That was really great. So he's officially a Jedi Knight. We find out that the Jedi Guard is the Inquisitor, which blew my mind. And he mentions, you are now what I once was, which is a Jedi Knight. And that just like blew my mind. Like, he takes his mask off. That was a huge reveal. And then he mentions like, oh, he was a Jedi Knight. That's a huge reveal as well, which surprised me because not everyone who's a Sith was a Jedi and then changed. Some people were just Sith. So that kind of surprised me. And it always makes it pretty cool when it's like, oh, someone was actually a good guy. And it kind of showed where he came from, because I'm assuming he was wearing that because he used to be a guard. And, once again, it was double-sided. It didn't spin. So that was very cool. And then he's like, I'll delay the intruders. And he ends up walking and attacking the other Inquisitors. And I don't know how that went. I guess they're still a Force entity, so that's why they couldn't physically be killed. And even if Kanan lost that battle and he kept fighting, he wouldn't have died. But the way they did it was just really cool. And it's like, they see the Grand Inquisitors like, holy crap. And then all these other guards come around. And that was a great moment too. It was like 2 seconds, but they both turn both sabers on, and then they just spinning and trying to block. It was like, it lasted like 2 seconds, but I was like, that's amazing, because they were both just standing and it's like just like moving around like crazy. So certainly love that. I don't know if we'll get an explanation as to exactly what happened to them, because it looked, I mean, basically they got stabbed, but I guess, because they were, like I said, Force entities, it didn't really affect them in that way. It kind of just, it really did just slow them down enough. But really love this episode. Hopefully the next one really does continue on from this one, even though we didn't get a really awesome promo. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure this was one of the episodes that was in like the really big trailer that came out around the time The Force Awakens came on, before this half of the season premiered. But I think there's supposed to be some other stuff, because I thought in the trailer that they actually did fight the Inquisitors, but not the scene that was in the beginning of this. I think there's another temple that they're supposed to get to, and it might be where they're headed right now. But I could have been wrong. That was so long ago. I was like, oh, maybe I thought they fought them, but they didn't. But I'm pretty sure they're supposed to end up fighting the Inquisitors again, and Ahsoka's supposed to be there. And I think there was someone else. I highly doubt it was Darth Vader. So I may have my scenes mixed up, because if Darth Vader was there, it just wouldn't make sense that they'd even survive. But they did it before, so I guess they could end up fighting both Inquisitors and Vader, and that would be a good challenge, because of course you have Ahsoka going against her former master, and then Kannan and Ezra. I don't know if they'd kill him, but at least once again going up against their rivals as the new Inquisitors. But whatever they end up doing should be interesting. I've said this. I said this last time, that they've just been doing a great freaking run of episodes ever since the premiere. It's just been like insanely good episodes, one after another. So really looking forward to this next one. Like I said, I really do hope it picks right up where this one left off, because kind of the whole thing about this is that they do kind of have to stop the Inquisitors, because otherwise they can't really be a part of the Rebel Alliance. They can't help if they're bringing a swarm of the Sith, to kill everybody, because they're way more powerful and they would destroy everyone. So I think they might be trying to rush to a resolution, and who knows how that'll turn out. It might not be 100% good, but definitely looking forward to it. Of course, want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys want to see next, because I really hope that they do end up going to this planet in the next episode. And I'm trying to remember, I cannot remember whatsoever what movie it was from or anything like that, but it's either been in the movies or it was in the Clone Wars show. Like, as soon as they said the name, I'm like, okay, I know that. And I don't know a ton of stuff about the extended universe or anything like that, But I knew that, and I'm like, I know I've heard that several times before, so I can't remember where it's at. But I just want to know what you guys want to see next, whether from any point of view, what you guys want to see next with our set of characters, with our trio of Jedi, possibly our trio of Sith, if Darth Vader does decide to stick around and kind of chase after them as well. But I want to know what you guys want to see, so please comment below, let me know. Before I end it, I guess I should show you guys. There's like a little got Vader versus Luke on the bottom of my hat, so I thought that was worth showing off because I know you can kind of see this, and it's just like a weird thing. So I wanted to show you guys that. So it's Empire Strikes Back, but like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this one, and what you guys want to see. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.